Thanks a lot. Hi, yeah, I'm Stephanie. I am a poet, but I'm not very good at writing political poems. This is my most feminist poem to date, I think. And basically, it's just a culmination of all my anger and frustration that I'm sure many of you must have shared as well, just at the world. And it's written in the style of this thing called maximalism, which basically means you say a lot of things at in a very loud voice, in a monotone, and none of it really makes sense. And most of it's really stupid things. So basically, the point of it is to show that sometimes a lot of us just like, the anger from the world sometimes causes us to stop making sense. And sometimes that's okay. When it gets too much. And so basically this is a poem for anyone who's ever been called a man-hater, or its new scientific name, a misandrist, or any other kind of like bad name just because for thinking too much or getting too angry about things and getting to arguments. And basically in this poem it's about, it's basically called a sad poem about misandry, in which I try and imagine a world without feminism. And yeah, so let's start. This is a sad maximalist poem about the sadness of misandry. Misandry is sad. Misandry is bad. Misandry is the hatred of men. Misandry is the reason why the world hates men. Misandry is the reason why most villains in Hollywood movies and TV shows are men. Who was the bad guy in Game of Thrones? Men. Who was the bad guy in Kill Bill? A man. Who was the bad guy in Harry Potter? A man. Who was the bad guy in Lord of the Rings? A male-identified flaming eyeball with a man's voice. Misandry is the reason why we think that all wars are started by men. Fact, Hitler only had one testicle, which means that World War II was actually started by a woman. Misandry is the reason why that we forget how all wars are also ended by men. If there were no men, the world would be full of wars that will never end. Misandry is a social disease spread by sad, evil, misandrous feminist women. They all have long hair on their legs and armpits and short hair on their heads. Their bras are always on fire, which makes it very dangerous for men to touch their breasts. This is clearly wrong. Men should always be allowed to touch women's breasts without burning their hands. These evil women spread the gospel of misandry through feminist poetry and spreading PMS. PMS is a condition that turns women into bats at the stroke of midnight once a month. These bats are conditioned to bite men and leave them to die. I wish all the sad, evil, misandrous women would go away. One day maybe the earth will flood and all the sad, evil, misandrous women will drown because they are too busy arguing about intersectionality on the internet to notice. And then they will finally leave the men of the world alone. I will be the only woman left because I am the only female poet who has never written an angry, ranty feminist poem or anything bad about men ever, because I love men and have never nagged my boyfriend or forced a man to go shopping with me. And then all the men will feel compelled to save me. And when the earth floods and all the evil misandrous women die, I will be safe with all the men on an ark that they will have built in preparation, because men are good at building arks. They will take care of me like I am a princess, but I will not actually act like a princess because that is just disgusting. I will act like one of the men. And this means that I will know how to drink beer and watch football and not waste my time in bubble baths like all real men, because all men who take bubble baths and don't watch football or drink beer are actually secretly misandrous feminists too. With my football watching abilities, I will seek out all these misandrous men and reveal their burning bras under their shirts, and then all the real men will masturbate simultaneously and extinguish the burning bras with their cum, and then we will throw them all overboard, and the real men will be like, men's rights, and I'll be like, fuck yeah. And because I am a kind, good-hearted, non-misandrous woman, I'll seek out the man who is the nicest man, nicest nice guy among them for my boyfriend. He will be so nice he will not even mind that I don't look like his favorite porn star, who happens to be the only woman he has spoken to in the last 3 years, even if she never replied to his tweet. It will be an honor to be the girlfriend of such a nice man. And all the other men will say, why do you choose him? And I will say non-misandristically, because I am not one of those sluts who goes for bad boys. And the men will say, friend zone. And I will say, no, I would never friend zone anyone. I love you all equally. And they will say, dirty slut. And I will say, well, what other women are there on this ark for you to sleep with? And they will say, fair enough. And then our boat will hit an iceberg and it will be my fault, because women always bring bad luck onto ships. And I will admit my mistake and say, sorry, men. And the lifeboat will come out and all the men will say, ladies first. And I'll say, no, really, you guys should get on first. And the men will say, are you turning into an evil, misandrous feminist too? We are just trying to be gentlemen. And I'll say, no, you should get the lifeboats first, because the world has oppressed you for far too long. See, if men would put on lifeboats first on the Titanic, World War II would have never happened, because we all know that Hitler was a 5-year-old girl who survived the Titanic. And then they will say, cool, you're the most non-misandrous woman we have ever met. And I will say, I know, and that is my sad poem about the sadness of misandry. Thank you. One more thing. So me and Raksha and Nabila and Victoria are part of a group called Scallywags. We have a show at the Arts House on April 6th. So come and see us. It's at night, it's free as well. But thank you all so much for being here. It's been amazing.